Okay, so while everyone else is still just jumping in, and because Peter Knight is on board, first of all, I need to say thank you very much for, well, you had nothing to do really, so I don't know why I'm thanking you. But I believe Loose Women is on, so thank you for attending. I'll point out that, of course, this will not end on time. It'll either be short or long, and I know that Peter will be doing that because he hates people who don't stick to what they promised. But I'm going to spend probably about half an hour today just giving you an overview. I think you've all seen the pink. You all know, I think a lot of you know what kerfuffle is. But I'm going to give you an overview, just a very brief overview of what we're doing at the moment, and take you through the newly added dashboard for estate agents. It was saving agents many thousands of pounds before the lockdown, and it promises to deliver even more, obviously, now that we're all of us having to look at the supplier management for the business. If it's okay with you, we've got a whole host of different people on here, so I'm going to mute you all, and I promise that's not me being narcissistic, but otherwise we'll hear all sorts of different stuff going on. So let me just get in there.
Exactly, so 50 grams and 350.
I just.
Okay. That's mute all. And you can mute it all. Right, and I haven't muted myself, which is what most people wanted. So, yeah, let's just kick off then. As I said, thanks again for joining us. Let's give you an overview. I swear this will be the very quickest of slides. I know no one's joined a Zoom call to then be PowerPointed to death, but it's important we point out why kerfuffle started. So kerfuffle, the brand name, we created it last year. We launched it at the Asters with a couple of Oompa Loompas many of you saw. And it was in direct response to one of the problems that I'd seen develop in the marketplace, talking to agents, talking to suppliers. We have this tagline that's called making sense of the noise. And a couple of reasons why there is this noise out there in the market you'll all be aware of. There are over 800 prop tech firms in the UK now. That's not excluding normal suppliers, your traditional suppliers like your Ravensworths or your board contractors. That's purely prop tech. Clearly, that's too many for you to manage. And because of that, it leads to a bit of an ostrich effect where you stick your head in the stands. And the problem with that is you tend to miss out on some of the good companies. Now, I asked a survey, I did a survey to about 1,000 offices. And I asked those principals to estimate how many estate agency suppliers they had. They guessed 13. In the next question, I asked them actually to list all of those. And in every single case, they underestimated it by 50%. And they actually used 20 on average. And most of them were shocked to find out it was that amount. Even more shocking, there were some really key learnings, like 1 in 5 were paying for a supplier and not even using it. So, as I said, that struck me that actually this is not now just a sort of a niggle. It's not sort of an accidental issue. It needed properly dealing with. So, in best Whaley fashion, rather than actually invent something myself, I thought I'd just steal everything. And the kerfuffle is essentially an amalgamation of these businesses. Well, I wish it was Amazon, but the idea is to get there. It's TripAdvisor for people to leave reviews, and they're not anonymised, so you can see who they are, what business they've come from, so there's none of this anonymised nonsense. Going forward, you'll be able to track certain people so that you'll be able to see the people you respect within the industry, your peers within the industry, and find out what they're reviewing either positively or negatively. We're adding in which reviews as well. So going out there doing expert reviews, both myself and other people within the industry, looking at it from different perspectives. So, you know, a marketing perspective, a techie's perspective, a principal's perspective, from an egg's perspective. We've got our friends, the Meerkats, so we're trying to streamline pricing advice in there. And indeed, leading on for that, for any of the over 100 suppliers we've got on the website, we want to do group deals wherever possible to secure you the best possible best possible deal. And as I said, really what I want to do is we'll bring all these together so that anything supplier related in the future, your first port of call is hopefully going to be ourselves. So I think the other thing is we did a survey, and we did it. Let me just show you this. Let me just show you that one there. And we asked 100 agents, and this isn't where we're not going to get all family fortunes with this, but we asked 100 agents, or actually more than that, what their frustrations were with suppliers in general. And you can see there in increasing order what they were. You know, the first one was one in 10 basically said it's really hard to get honest feedback from existing clients and suppliers. So because of that, due diligence in choosing a supplier is really difficult. Negotiations and contracts are a complete pain in the arse. Variable pricing, you know, is a real issue. So that idea that, you know, in the consumer world, price differentials will be 5, 10, 15%. But we're all aware of, you know, some suppliers in this industry that might, you know, be charging 5, 10, 15 times more. So it's a complete wild west out there. And that's got to change, and it will change with using websites like ourselves. The next most painful thing there is trying to get suppliers to work together. And integrate is so painful. So hopefully the CRM companies seem to be playing ball now. Much more of them are coming out with open APIs. It's a slow process, I know, and frustrating for many of you. From my point of view, I'm just trying to bang together suppliers' heads where I see obvious fits out there in the business. And then as I said, going back to the basic one at the beginning, there's just too many actual of the suppliers there to be able to review them. So hopefully we can identify those princes and avoid you kissing as many frogs as possible. As I said, it launched last year, but really the functionality that I was really key to get into it has only just gone live now. And I think what you're going to see when I take you through it is where I envisaged, you know, we would have been sooner. But it's been really well received, and last year was really an awareness and recruitment phase for us. So we've already got over 2,000 offices registered with us. It's absolutely free. Is the first thing I should say to you. I transparently get paid from. That's a Greg's reference. Sorry. I get paid from any of the suppliers that complete on the business. We've got over 100 suppliers on the website today, many of them the leading ones, and more in the pipeline, 147 in the pipeline, and everyone will be going on the website, because what we've realized is, as a review website, and for you to build your own supplier management dashboard, we've got to have all those in there. So over the next few days, every single supplier we're hoping will be on the site, and you do have the ability to recommend any that we've missed as well. So if it's okay with everybody at the moment, what I'd like to do, let me just take it back to here. Let's go over here. Stop the share. Okay, is really just take you into then the next part of it. So I'm going to now share the actual Kerfuffle website over here. So let's just go to here and share this. Apologies while I'm just flying around doing this on there. So let's just go into the wonderfully pink Kerfuffle website. And I'm going to go straight into essentially a landing page that we've got in here. So as I said, we wanted to be the most comprehensive A to Z black book of your suppliers there. So we'll be adding to those. I'm going to challenge myself to look worldwide. I know the Australian market pretty well, but we're going to look everywhere in the world of prop tech for exciting things that hopefully are relevant. And I think that is the key point here, that they will pretty much only get past muster if I think they are, you know, at least worthy of getting on here. Akaboom is a company many of you will already recognize, but I'm just going to give you an overview of the actual page itself to show what's included on here. So obviously it's got a brief description about Akaboom here. We have the supplier's own videos up there, so giving you their YouTube channels, giving them the product videos and everything else. We have the ratings up here, and I'll come back to that in a second. You have the ability to leave a review, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. We have, for pretty much every one of the people on there, it got an exclusive deal or a deal on the table as well. So if you are interested, there's a nice big call to action button there to just flag your interest, and that will essentially then send an email through to them to get in touch and arrange a demonstration. We also have a more passive one whereby you can just say, I'm interested, please notify me if you get a deal. And as I said, you'll see later on how I do that when we go into the dashboard. Down here, brief description of the company itself, pricing information, who it integrates. I think that's a key challenge for people these days. You know, a lot of the time the suppliers will say that they're integrated with somebody else, and it's not the sort of integration that you thought it was. So we're going to be actually detailing with all the different providers what it actually does. But if I just come back up here, the key part of this, of course, is a review site. And as I promised you at the beginning, it's not going to be anonymized, and I'm hoping that there's not an anonymous one in here to make me swallow my words, but let me just show you what this looks like in here. Yeah, we've got obviously 12 reviews in here. They can be as brief as Simon here from the Fantastic Drivers in Norris, but they can go, you know, they can be full testimonials. So you can see, I think what I'm told by my agency, kerfuffle clients, is that this sort of information, being able to see sort of, you know, the leading players within the industry, you know, and suppliers, their Agent OS and everything else, what their comments are, gives you a really, really key idea and a helping hand in choosing suppliers. Because at the moment, let's be honest, the supplier might give you a couple of names that they've bought bought pints for down the pub, and they'll say it's a fantastic service. But every time you go into a new supplier, it's pretty much a leap into the dark. So we're trying to avoid that. I'll just show one other company, and that's Starbury, how the website will work as well. I always show Starbury, by the way, because they are our fantastic partners and build the website, but I always show them just in case it ever falls over one day, I can point back and say it was their fault. Hasn't happened yet because they're shit hot, but anyway, I'm going to keep doing that. Now, I could go into their page, but it's just going to show you the information we've shown before. The other thing we're wanting to do, of course, is we want to be a full content engine for you. So we're challenging all of our partners, and if you are suppliers, I know there's many on here. If you, please see us as another news source. Please send in any sort of thought leadership articles. We've got a great article here on from Starbury, as I said, talking about how you can go virtual, and we've got deals with them on there to booking a few one-on-one consultancy session, how you can do virtual viewings, appraisals, using some completely free tools like I'm using here today, Calendly and Zoom. So I'd urge all of you, go have a look at that, register for it. They are absolutely fantastic. Now, for those of you that are already signed up, you might want to log in as well and follow me along in the next bit, because I'm going to show you the dash bit when we're actually registered. For those of you that haven't, just follow me through on the process if you want to. As I said, it's free, and I promise I won't spam you. Well, certainly for the short term anyway. In here's the login page up there in the top right-hand corner, but I'm just going to click on sign up. So if I go into sign up, if you are a supplier wanting to come on the website, just tick there, but I'm just going to tick that. I'm going to put in my details here and simon@acme.com and just do that. And I agree to the terms and conditions, which is gives me the rights to your firstborn. And we then go into the dashboard itself. Now, here we have just some basic information. And on one hand, it might look like I'm just looking for some very nosy information. On the one hand, yes, I am. I want to be able to, all of this, I should say, within your dashboard remains completely confidential. It will never be shown to anyone, but I will anonymize stats that we learn from it. So, for example, if I can say that across our user base, 40% of people use Repeat, or, those sorts of things, I'm going to enlighten the market with some MI there. Now, down here, we have some information about the company name, so just pop in your details there, offices, the number of staff, which departments that you are, that's very important, and indeed the number of properties that you manage, just a broad idea. Now, as I said, apologies, there is a little bit of nosiness there because I want to understand what my kerfuffle members look like. But it's also really important to me. We do a consultative service. And if you come to me saying, look, I'm looking for, I will use the example before, a website company. Many suppliers, you know, are tiered and are better at serving different niches of the market. Some will be exceptional at dealing with single office agents. Some will be better towards, you know, the corporate end of the market. So being able to understand your setup here really gives us that consultative edge that we can do. I should say on the call today, we were really pleased that Fam joined us as our sales ninja. And for anyone that wants to go through a consultative session like this by himself, please do that 4 tops thing and reach out to him, fam@kerfuffle.it. He will help you build this, what we're going through now, and indeed liaise with you on any of the sorts of supplier challenges that you might have at the moment. And again, that's a free service for ourselves. I'm just going to update that information. I should have said up here in the right-hand corner, you can upload your profile pic if you want to have a nice cheesy image of myself. Now on the toolbar, we've just got one button there at the moment. We are really starting to hit the floor running now with new functionality on the website. So for example, we're going to be adding a new button there for my reviews, that you'll be able to see all of your reviews, all of the deals that you have on the pipeline. We're adding a charities and causes thing. So one of the initiatives we're launching in the next few days is the NHS initiative that we're trying to tie together a lot of people are doing fantastic stuff individually. We're trying to bring it all together under the Agents Giving banner. And we'd love any of you to, again, pop your details down on the chat down there, and we'll come back to you afterwards if you'd like to be kept informed on that. But I'm just going to click into the My Suppliers button here, which is the absolute crux of the system here. Now, what we do down here is we're just asking you which are your current suppliers. So we've put the most 20 commonly searched suppliers in there as a really tick list. So let's just say I use that. I've got Brief Your Market, Expert Agents is my CRM system. We also have Moneypenny, we're Rightmove, and we've got Zoopla. Very quick way of adding it, but we might down here as well, we might have, we might work with Adam Walker, and in which case I just put those details on. And can you see in double quick time what that's done is just listed down here those suppliers that you have in there. Now, the reason why this is important, as I said, is if on average people do have 20 suppliers, you can't be doing this on the back of a fag packet or doing it in an ad hoc. It needs time and energy if you're going to do this right. I've been lucky enough to have worked with the very best, some of the very best agencies around the world. Romans, Marshall White in Australia, and one of the things that I saw was they didn't just focus on having really brilliant processes. They did things brilliantly as well with marketing, but they had a laser focus on the supply side, and I think that's where putting it in here, and as I say, this is a free resource for you to use, is going to be really useful. And what we're advising you to do, best practice is to do it quarterly, because you don't need to do it too often, because we don't hopefully chop and change too often, but certainly quarterly. Have a look in here, but if you can't do it there, at least once a year, but when you're doing your budgets. And just look at those suppliers as we've got them up there now, and be very honest with yourselves. Where are they? Score them out of 10, Net Promoter Score it, and say, okay, well, Akabeam's an absolutely fantastic fantastic partner. They're a 9 or 10. I don't need to worry about them. I won't name one of these companies, but let's just say there was an Acme supplier in here. And you know what? I'm only really feeling a sort of 6 out of 10 for them. 2 things might have happened. We might have drifted away from them. We might not have, been applying ourselves as much as we could do. Or frankly, they might have oversold it. What I would be going back to them, and especially this is why it's critical at the moment, you have got time on your hands that you will not have ever before. Staff can be training whilst furloughed. Use that time. Go back to those suppliers there and say to them, look, for whatever reason, we're not really feeling the love here. Please deliver us some online training or account management, or configure the product, or give us something else that starts to deliver. And you will find most of them more than happy, because what they realize is once you get up to 9 and 10 happiness, you're going to be a promoter, and you're going to be on my wonderful website talking about them. And every one of those is an advert, of course, there. So we all want the same thing. It's not me just being a shameless narcissist wanting to be liked by everyone. There is the ability for everyone to win out of this. The other thing is, on pretty much every other review site you go to, if you were going through those suppliers and leaving reviews, you'd have to go to the landing page, leave a review, going back and forth. What we've done, I think, quite helpfully is we leave all of those here for you to do it. By the way, we're not daft enough, but but do use your testimonial as long as it's honest, and I will be policing it remorselessly if it's obviously bullshit. But do use your testimonial when liaising with suppliers. They are desperate to have people talk about them. As Brits, we are appalling for asking for references. And so, they all understand that cash flow is a massive issue at the moment. So say, well, look, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. Give us your best deal, but we will give a testimonial on the fantastic kerfuffle website. And, we'll come to a more normal arrangement when we come out of this together. So it's a little bit of advice. I know that when I was at Repit, we really valued that. The key thing, though, I think for me on the right-hand side as well is this: we've got this contract renewal date. Now, many of you, when we were talking to them in that survey, stated that one of the things that annoyed them most was this horrible thing that has developed relatively recently, where people, roll you into a second contract period when you didn't want to have. And that happens too often, and I don't like it, and I think it's really, really sneaky. So what we've done is put a contract renewal date in here. So working with your FD or accountant, just get your supplier dates in here, and we'll just say for Ackaboom, for sake of it, and I'm not picking on your Ackaboom, I love you, that your contract renewal date works in there. Now, to stop you falling into a second renewal, we will send you notifications in advance with a simple email out there asking, what do you want to do? Is this a key provider, in which case we need to do nothing? Are they an existing provider, but you know what, could you talk to them and see if there's a better deal to be had? Or actually, we are thinking of getting rid of them, please source alternatives. And what we will do, if you pay attention to this, is obviously make sure that you are always on top of the suppliers you use. Because I should say then, we spoke about the partners that are rated 9 or 10. We spoke about those that are doing right. Of course, the obvious one is, let's go down to those companies that are rating, 0, 1, 2, or 3 out of 10. Just bin them. If they're compliance based and you've got to have them, there's always an alternative. Talk to us and we will source that for them. So I know suppliers on there, you might be shaking your fists and going, what are you talking about, Whaley, trimming down suppliers? They should have hundreds. But the key thing is, they're not happy with you. If they're asked by someone else, they're going to tell the truth. They're going to say, no, it's pretty shit service. So what we've seen, and I don't know if Spencer's on here, but I will forward on to everyone who's attended today. We've got some great testimonials from people like Spencer Lawrence, Peter Lawrence at Lawrence Rand, Goldfinch, as drivers in Norris. And on average, they save £35,000 having this approach, using our white paper as the basis for reviewing this stock. Now, one of the key things I mentioned there is suppliers. It's up to you how well you do out of this, because those people like Spence, who trimmed 5 suppliers, didn't just pocket the cash. He reinvested that in those suppliers that were actually, delivering demonstrable ROI. And again, I think if there's one thing I can do as a website is many suppliers suffer what's called the right move effect. And the right move effect is where you actually quite like a supplier, but there's no way you're going to tell them that they actually deliver for you for fear of there being a 20% price increase coming up. And that's a real problem. I feel like I can tease that information much better out of people on here as a neutral source. So that we had a working group the other day anyway, people about that, and people have we've had people like Christian Byfield, Peter Knight, who's on here, were giving us great feedback about putting in things like the monthly cost in here, so you can look at it from a cost perspective, sort it in that order, that happiness perspective, be able to put a score in there, put next call dates so you can actually diarise when to speak to these suppliers. So all of these, I'm always wary about saying what's in the software already and what's coming, but these are literally rolling out over the next few weeks. So it's I feel perfectly fine to do that. So this is an area that we're spending a huge amount of time on, because every agent is looking at this at the moment. And I know you're not able to do it quite scientifically maybe at the moment, because there's the need to just cut costs no matter what. But I think you'll agree, if we can spend the time now, and it literally is 10, 15 minutes, when you come out the other side, literally four visits to this over the course of the year will save you thousands, and it's not, you know, it's nothing more than good business practice to be able to do. By the way, if you are, any of you want to put any questions in there, just knock it into the chat. We'll deal with those at the end. If we don't have the time to deal with all of them, I will come back to you individually, but I'll open it up at the end as well for questions as well. Now, down at the bottom, as we've said, we've got previously used suppliers, just in case you want to stay in touch with, you know, what you've looked at there. From our point of view, we think that's going to be quite interesting to see churn of suppliers, how often you change suppliers. And again, one little feature we're adding into it is to have a wish list. So that's a really nice feature, I think, that was sensibly, you know, these are the suppliers I'm thinking about using. You know, I might be thinking about Land and New Homes Network. I'd like to stay in touch. And what that will do is put a wish list item on the left, and you'll be able to see all of the reviews, all of the news stories, all that sort of information. And of course, what I'm able to do then is, if I can see that there's 100 agents who are interested in Kev's Land and New Homes Network, I can go to Kev and say, look, I think there's a real, you know, there's some real interest here. What's the deal that we can do to try and make it work for everybody? So I think hopefully you're seeing here, we've got win-win-win. We've got a win for you agents. It's free. You're saving costs. You've got a useful tool here. You can get, you know, you can get reduced deals. You can get nice pink merch whenever you need it. From the supplier's point of view, we're supplying them with leads that they wouldn't already have had. And I'm able to stay in an industry that I love and go to all the events and drink amaretto. So win-win-win is how I'm seeing this. So as I said, please, I said I'd ask you for two things. Please do go in and give reviews. And I don't just want reviews where you're just shouting from the hilltops. I'm not. I think it's Friday. Let's be kind. Let's not go in and chuck too many negative ones out there. But what I think is interesting, and let me just save you from this screen now, and take you back to another one. Is just take you back to this again. Is all of the review sites that I've seen to date have pretty much revolved around the Steve Jobs quote. It's everything that Steve Jobs used to say. They used to say famously was bullshit or brilliant. There was no in between, and that's what review sites are normally, aren't they? We feel inspired, or we've been asked to leave a review, so we do it, or we're so pissed off that we want to actually make sure that everyone knows about it. But the bell curve shows us that shouldn't be what, you know, the vast majority. On the whole, actually, if we're honest, most of our suppliers are actually probably just doing an okay job. Now, do you know what? It's not great, but it's not the worst news of all. You can really help those, so first of all, those suppliers with constructive criticism. So just let them know you're all right, but we can improve better. And we'll be asking for pros and cons on the website in the months to come. But also as well, you know, if they are sort of doing just a job okay, that's really useful for other people doing due diligence, because you'll see, as you know, anyone who has 5-star reviews, normally that's you're quite suspicious about. So to be able to see that this is just a normal company, you know, you might still think it's absolutely worth the investment on the back of it. So I would ask you, if you do have time, if you like what you've seen here today, please do go on the website, register yourself if you can do, leave a nice review for one of the, you should all have at least one partner that you feel positive about, and leave one okay review as well, because I want to see that website develop over the course of it. Now, we'll be sending back after this as well, the white paper. I mentioned those companies use the white paper. It's available on the website, but we'll give you a direct link. And basically what it was is Josh Fegan made this, many of you will know, the brilliant Australian guru training consultants. And he mentioned that the only factor you control in your business to manage margin and profitability is your cost base. So, you know, we're all looking at things to go at the front of the funnel. And of course you want to have tools like that. But this is the one element that you can be sure that you can actually control yourself. And through this white paper, again, we just give you helpful hints, you know, what to do, where to do it, when to do it. We give you advice to summarize each supplier. We also give you the, you know, who's going to be owning this internally. So make sure that there is an owner, you know, within the business. I've actually, unbelievably, just hit half an hour, which I am actually quite impressed with. And I know Peter Knight's going to be fairly impressed as well there. Hopefully that's given you a taste today. We're going to be giving you much more. We're going to be doing these regularly as those new features come on board. But I'll open it up now just to see. Let me stop sharing it and go back to it. I will unmute. This could be quite dangerous. Let me just unmute you all to start off with. If it explodes, I'll mute you all. In fact, there's a bit of background. So what I'll say is I will mute them. Anyone who has a question, please put your hand up or just unmute yourself and just pop in. I can see Emmeline. Are you doing anything, Em, there? No. Sorry, I'm just trying to unmute.
Simon, I think you've got a few questions. You've got one from Abigail and one from Chris there as well.
Okay, great. Okay, so thank you, Emmeline. I'm not sharing the screen. Of course I wasn't sharing the screen. It's a Simon Well production. There has to be at least one balls up. That's okay. What can we have here? So what about where we are already subscribing to them? Can we get a better deal? Abigail, that's a great question. One thing I would always say is suppliers are sick to death of consultants, chancers going to them and say, I represent 500 offices, speculatively, can you give me your corporate deal? And it's like, they've done this a few times, never ever deliver, pain in the arse. I was very conscious of that. So what I've taken the approach is, of course, give us the best deal you possibly can do now. But what I want to do is, as we start adding on kerfuffle members, that you start giving us deals as if we were that collective. So I don't know if we can ever get to the true corporate deal, because obviously they're dealing with one entity there and you're obviously hundreds, which means that there is much more maintenance support. But certainly you will get a better deal than you were doing this by yourself. So basically, yes, what we will be doing is we will be going back to people and let's say, we've got 50 people that are interested. 10 of those most might be existing clients. We will be saying at that time, when it's renewal time, please can you reward those loyal clients with the same deal? Because I think that everyone is sick, aren't they, of seeing new deals out there with suppliers that aren't reflected with existing clients. So I know that actually I've been quite proud of, with a few exceptions, I've been quite proud of the supplier community because I think they've been really proactive, coming back to people there. And I would say, please bear in mind, I'm not asking for the world's smallest violin here, but do bear in mind that, 90% of them aren't corporates. They're not £1 billion. They're small businesses exactly like yourself. And so when they've really tried to be proactive and come to you, don't treat that as an opening offer. Where possible, it will mean the difference between them laying off staff themselves. So I'm not asking you there, but I want to make this work. I want to represent the agents in the best possible way and the suppliers. So hopefully that answers your point there. Chris, could we build in a wish list as well that can remind us to review based on cash flows, etc.? We can certainly look at that. Yeah, Chris, that's a really good idea. As I said, we're building in what the monthly cost is going to be. Clearly, I think we can actually, at the moment, it's just going to be literally that. Clearly, it's quite different to contrast different suppliers because some of them might be transactional, some of them are subscription, some of them are subscription on an office basis, some of them on a user. So we've got to think quite carefully about that complexity before we go forwards. But absolutely, yes. By the way, just on that, any of you that want to be part of the working groups for Kerfuffle, please drop us a line to simon@kerfuffle.it and we will work new ideas out with yourselves, and we'd love your input about how you want to. It's essentially your resource, this side of things, so it will develop as you want it to. I've got Jamie Corona. Hi, Jamie. Do you envisage the reviews constantly evolving in line with when the companies improve, let slip? So do we constantly add reviews, or is it just once? Brilliant question there. That's actually so brilliant. It looks like I've teed it up myself, but I genuinely didn't. Yes, you will do, and I think that's vital. When I was at Repeat, the thing I was proudest about was we were getting reviews from clients year on year on year. So you could see, for example, with Marsh & Parsons, how it evolved over time. So we're going to say, like, the main overall reviews, you can give one a year, And exactly that, you know, you can see how that changes. We're also going to do some quick voting. Now, this is one where we feel like you can do it more often. So, you know, it's like the up vote, down vote, and you'll be able to then give that quarterly to show a much more sort of regular sort of approach and put pros and cons in there. So, you know, just buzzwords like too expensive, support, and support can be a pro or a con, of course. So if one of the suppliers has made a change and gone totally you know, has gone away from telephone support and is trying to do everything internet-based, and that's really slipping, you guys can actually see that happening and see those reviews. So I think that's how we're going to deal with that. I feel that that's a really happy balance between it. And of course, you know, it stops that issue, Jamie, whereby otherwise, if we had them, you could give multiple reviews over the course of the year. Frankly, you'd be pissed off because the suppliers would be nagging you constantly to give reviews, and we do appreciate it. Is, you know, it is time out to obviously give that there. How does, so I've got if I've missed anyone, by the way, how does the percentage you save work for us? How does the percentage you save? So, Lee, are you there? Could you just explain that? Obviously, you know I'm a bit thick.
Yeah, hi mate, how you doing? Right. So obviously the way that you get paid is you make a saving, right, on the fees. So
yeah, well, sorry, there's two elements here. The agents get a saving that I negotiate, and I have a separate commercial discussion with them there. The reason why it works, and it's not, you know, adding up Diana Abbott style to 125%, is that obviously they haven't had to then have done lots of marketing to win you guys, and often they haven't had to, you know, pay directly the sales teams the same level of commission, because let's face it, they're just doing a demonstration rather than having worked the prospect. So it does all balance out like that. If that answers your question, is that what you were getting from?
So what? Okay, couple of questions. And why would they agree to that if they already have a sales function? And coupled with that, if you make as a 10% saving as a company,
yeah,
then you take an extra 2%, say, for your fees.
Yeah,
they're actually having to make a 12% saving. What's the reason they're going to do that?
It's a really good point, Lee. I'm not being funny, but you know, their sales teams are doing a job, but everybody wants more leads and business. And I think I'm going to be able to, because it is a freemium model that we will be delivering value back to, for those people that obviously are engaged, what I want to be is essentially the greatest driver for business for suppliers outside of their own supply, you know, outside of their own sales teams. So everyone's after obviously growing and that, and I'm not being funny. If you want somebody to shout about your business, you need a loud attention seeker like myself, and no one's going to shout louder about their businesses than I am.
Thank you.
I think it's a sign, Lee, as well. Every one of those 145 businesses that have come on board have been quite pleased to offer a revenue stream there as well. So that shows that most businesses actually have referrals for partners anyway. So let's say a CRM company that would work with a website company would do referrals in exactly the same way, Lee, as you would with financial services or conveyancing. So it's just the model shifting, isn't it?
Sure. Thank you. Okay, that's answered it.
No, thanks.
Thanks.
Chris Holroyd again. With reviews, could you look at putting in a monthly survey sent to us to score suppliers? This would be top movers and worst mover in a league table, that we could see a constant review of each supplier. I am, Chris. What I would just say is I don't want to use the Boris Johnson spaff all my good ideas at one time. We have got some really exciting ideas around that, which will be leading to category net promoter score rankings for all the different areas. So the CRMs, the websites, tenant references, everything on there, that we will be getting anonymized feedback from people and exactly doing that. So you'll be able to track those over time. And the KPIs, the kerfuffle perception index will be out soon. So yes, absolutely, and great idea. So I don't have to pay you for that one. Anybody else, please feel free to have I don't know if Yannicky's on. Have we got any on? I don't even know if it went to Facebook, to be honest. But will you get any questions on there at all?
No questions on Facebook. It didn't actually go live on it, so.
That's a shock. So here I am, everyone, technology guru, can't even stream to Facebook, so sod off Zuckerberg, I don't like it. Okay, well guys, if no one else has got one, I think I've answered everyone in there. Yeah, that's great. Just say, please get in contact with us. Get in contact with us with any of the queries we've got. You might have, sorry, and I'll leave you with my thought of the day. I'm Property Confucius. Thank you very much. Please reach out and get in contact with us on the website. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thanks, Simon.
Cheers.
Everybody. Bye.